The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Velcris of the Draxian Empire gestured dismissively toward the human delegation. His crystalline exoskeleton glittered under the chamber's luminescent dome, refracting light in patterns that conveyed his utter contempt. These creatures? Velcris's translator chip rendered his clicking speech into common galactic. They claim to deserve a seat among us? Look at them. No natural armor. No venom sacs. No psychic resonance. They are fragile meat wrapped in softer meat. Captain Marcus Chen stood motionless in his dress uniform, jaw clenched. Beside him, his attaché Lieutenant Sarah Park placed a gentle hand on his arm, a silent plea for patience. This was the third species this cycle to dismiss humanity's application for council membership. The chamber represented the pinnacle of galactic civilization. 73 species had earned their place here over millennia, each proving their worth through displays of unique biological superiority or technological transcendence. The Vryn had demonstrated matter manipulation through thought alone. The Korvathi had survived in the heart of a dying star. The Selenar had rebuilt their homeworld after its moon shattered. And humanity? The galaxy saw them as fragile newcomers barely a century into space travel. Our strength lies not in our biology alone, Marcus replied, his voice steady and measured. We've survived ice ages, plagues, and our own worst impulses. We've survived? Velcris interrupted, his mandibles clicking in what passed for laughter among his kind. Every species here has survived. That is the baseline requirement for existence, not membership. The Thalorian observer, a being of pure energy contained within a magnetic field, pulsed in agreement. Even the usually diplomatic Quen delegates, with their 4 eyes and perpetually serene expressions, seemed unconvinced. Perhaps, suggested High Chancellor Myrthos, the ancient Korvathi who presided over the council, the humans could demonstrate something unique, some capability we have yet to witness. Marcus exchanged a glance with Sarah. They'd anticipated this. Every application eventually came down to a demonstration. The problem was that humanity's advantages, adaptability, endurance, creative problem-solving, weren't easily showcased in a council chamber. Before Marcus could respond, the entire station shuddered violently. Emergency klaxons wailed through the halls. The holographic display at the chamber's center erupted with urgent alerts. Catastrophic system failure in Docking Bay 7, an automated voice announced. The merchant vessel Prosperity of Worlds has suffered complete thruster malfunction. Collision with station superstructure imminent in 47 seconds. All personnel evacuate immediately. The council members moved with practiced efficiency toward the evacuation corridors. Velcris shot one last contemptuous look at the human delegation before scuttling away on his 6 legs, moving with impressive speed. Marcus didn't move toward the exits. His mind was already calculating trajectories, mass, and the one insane possibility that was forming. Marcus, we need to go, Sarah urged, pulling at his arm. That ship is going to tear through the residential quarter, Marcus said, his eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the slowly tumbling merchant vessel. 300,000 tons of metal and cargo, drifting inexorably toward the station's most populated section. 20,000 people, Sarah, families, children. The defense grid will take 60 seconds to recalibrate after the thruster malfunction's electromagnetic pulse, Marcus cut her off. We don't have 60 seconds. He was already running, not toward the evacuation routes but toward the emergency access corridors that led to the exterior docking bays. Sarah cursed and followed, her shorter legs struggling to match his pace. The artificial gravity in this section of the station was calibrated to galactic standard, roughly 0.8 Earth normal. Marcus had spent his entire deployment feeling like he could leap buildings. Now he needed every advantage. They burst into the observation deck overlooking Bay 7. Through the transparent aluminum viewport, the Prosperity of Worlds hung like a dying whale in space, its running lights flickering as internal systems failed. It was less than 200 meters from impact, drifting at 3 meters per second. Marcus, this is insane, Sarah breathed, realizing what he intended. Probably, he agreed, already sealing his dress uniform's emergency collar, a feature every spacefaring outfit carried. It would give him maybe 90 seconds in hard vacuum before the cold or pressure differential killed him. But you've seen the specs. We can handle higher G-forces than any other species. Our bone density, our muscle structure, we evolved on a heavy gravity death world. For survival, not for lifting starships. Marcus moved to the emergency airlock, his fingers flying over the controls. "Tell the council to watch. Record everything." "Marcus, that's an order, Lieutenant." The airlock cycled open. Marcus stepped into the chamber, his heart hammering against his ribs. Every instinct screamed that this was suicide, but he'd done the math. Earth's gravity was 1.3 times galactic standard. He'd been living and training in reduced gravity for 2 years. His muscles, his bones, his cardiovascular system, all of it had been coiled like a spring. The outer door opened. Space didn't roar, it was utterly silent, but Marcus felt the air rip from his lungs, felt his eyes begin to freeze even as his emergency collar created a minimal atmosphere pocket around his face. He tethered himself to the airlock with a magnetic line, giving him something to pull against. The Prosperity of Worlds was almost in range now, close enough that he could see the scoring on its hull from countless hyperspace jumps. Marcus tensed every muscle in his body, drew on every hour he'd spent in the gym maintaining peak physical condition in reduced gravity, and thought about the 20,000 people who were about to die. His hands caught the ship's exterior maintenance rail. The cold burned through his gloves instantly. The momentum tried to tear him away, but he'd anchored himself, turned his body into a lever point, and he pushed. Every muscle fiber screamed. His vision went red at the edges. Somewhere he felt something in his shoulder tear, but the math was on his side. 3 meters per second wasn't much. The ship wasn't accelerating, just drifting. And in microgravity, with the right angle, with enough strength, the Prosperity of Worlds shuddered. Its trajectory shifted just slightly. Just enough. Marcus held on for 5 seconds that felt like hours, every cell in his body burning before his magnetic line retracted and pulled him back into the airlock. He collapsed as the inner door sealed, gasping for air that suddenly existed again. When Marcus finally made it back to the council chamber, shoulder in an emergency brace, face frostburned but alive, he found every delegate standing in stunned silence, their viewing screens frozen on the impossible image of a human in a dress uniform, redirecting a starship with nothing but his hands and determination. Velcris approached slowly, his earlier contempt replaced by something that might have been awe. "We called you weak," he said quietly. "We were incorrect." High Chancellor Myrthos's ancient eyes gleamed with approval. "The Council has seen enough. Humanity's application is approved, unanimously. Welcome, Captain Chen, to the stars." Marcus managed a tired smile. "About time you recognized we don't need natural weapons when we've spent millennia turning ourselves into one." Sarah handed him a medical pack, shaking her head in disbelief. "You're completely insane, sir." "Maybe," Marcus agreed, wincing as the automated injector flooded his system with pain suppressants. "But we're also in." And in the halls of the Galactic Council, a new understanding rippled outward. The humans weren't weak because they lacked natural armor or claws or venom. They were terrifying precisely because they'd survived without them, and in doing so had forged themselves into something far more dangerous. They'd made themselves into weapons that could think, adapt, and when necessary, move mountains or starships through sheer bloody-minded determination. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again.